We are going to get started right away. We are welcome to Tech Great Talks here. This is a season 2 webinar 4. It's an AI-assisted .NET migration at scale is the topic that we are using it. We are using a real life example that we are working on a real production platform, migrating it from 460 project-based solution and 2.5 mil lines of code, migrating it using the AI-assisted solutioning and tooling. So we're going to walk through the high-level strategy and the methods that we are using in the tool chain, and the challenges as well as the numbers and how we are shipping it to the production. With that, so real quick, I'm going to go over who we are before we dive into the migration so that you get the context, right? Why you should listen to us. We are an AI-first product engineering partner. We've been serving our clients for the last 13 years. We are predominantly focusing on the mid-market companies in the regulated industries, health tech, fintech, construction tech. We are headquartered in Texas, Dallas, as well as the India, Hyderabad, for the cost-effective development. So with that quick introduction, we are going to use the real example that we are working on now, but we are anonymizing our client name. And today, the people that are with me are who lived through this or who are working on this migration. Rajesh Panda, who is the AI architect, who was part of many multi-year migrations in last 10 years to 15 years in conventional manner. And now he is bringing his expertise and he defined the methods and the frameworks to do it using the AI. And he is defining the methods, as well as Jahnavi Kotak, who is our AI engineer, who is living through all the phases, who is the developer working in the trenches, who is going to showcase how we are doing it. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. The problem, if you see that most of the companies who have been with the 15 to 20 year or more than that, the production systems, .NET or Java or any of the enterprise platforms, you can relate that 2 of the 4 problems are mentioned here might be your case here. Why you are deferring your migration is because it's going to take too long if you do it in the conventional manner. This particular one we are talking about is 12 to 15 months estimated one. We are getting that done in 6 months. Or it's too risky because you don't want to do the migration and bring the production down even for a brief moment, which is going to be an event and escalations, and it's too risky and you are not trying to attempt that. And it's expensive too. Your subject matter expertise, your engineers are busy serving the customers. You don't have time to engage them on the migration path where they are the subject matter expertise and they can help the migration happen, but they are not available. And too uncertain, even though AI era, people made attempts to do the migrations in a wrong way. That's causing people to even delay the migration path. So that's where we are going to go over the methods that we are following it that can help you think about your migration path. If you are in this situation, feel free to post how are you relate to this, which of the 4 you think, right, your migration path is delaying. So this is the screen. Not going to go over that. You can take a screenshot of it and we can have offline conversation, reach us out. But this is, that's why systems are complex, and we put together a framework for the overall migration or modernization path. And for specific to the .NET migration, we followed the second visual over here. That's what we are going to go over. I'm not going to read that out or daring to spend time on it. It's too overwhelming, but when you really start doing it, you see a meaning for it. Here, one of the things I call that out, even though the left side handles all kinds of a technology stack, but the entry point can be anywhere. If your board is looking for, or C-level is looking for the prioritizing your overall AI journey, that's where we can start with the AI impact method. Otherwise, you know exactly what application, what platforms need to be modernized. That's where your journey can start and you can follow through those. And we are not reinventing the industry proven frameworks like TOGAF method or the 7R disposition frameworks. We are reusing those, but doing it in an AI way. So that's what, take a screenshot, take your time. Okay. So at this time, I would like to hand over to RP, who led the efforts here for the example that we are going to talk about it. And RP is going to talk this through. RP?
Thanks, Jitu. So just to give our viewers some idea of like what we're dealing with here is we have a .NET application that's built around Net 48 ecosystem, and we have just to name a few technologies, like we have remoting, .NET remoting, Oven, we have packet managers for we have Wix installer, we have WinForm. So it's a mix of different things. And as Jitu mentioned earlier, we have around 460 projects, 2.5 million lines of code, and it has accumulated over a time period of 20 years. So, so this is here is how like we came up with the approach. So we have uh, a proven framework that I think Jitu already mentioned that. So the first thing that we did was we did a full code scan, and we uh, made an inventory of all the projects that we intended to migrate. And at this point, we are interested in all sorts of data that we could collect at this stage. And so we would map dependencies, risks, different frameworks, your Prism score that we'll get to later. We have a time map analysis for each project. So based on the output, we are able to prioritize the modules, and then we determine like which need to be addressed in what manner. And some modules will definitely take precedence over others. Uh, so for that, I think we used the Strangler fig leaf pattern to address this gap, since we had like existing active development that was going on this product. So we used the Strangler fig leaf pattern on that. So that's about the prioritization. Coming to the next one, which is like the technology that we used here. So there's a mix of technologies, or the mix of frameworks that we used in order to get this across. One of the primary ones was creating some custom migration skill. Now, this is the part which makes this process different from just pointing your right code base, or your just feeding your code base to a generic coding agent. So we engineered a migration skill based on the initial deep scan, and what we discovered is uh, so what we covered here is we did a deep scan using the Prism discovery framework that we have, and the next is we use a copy of our own .NET migration skill base that covers around 70% of the migration. And for the remaining 30% is where we come up with like some of the decisions that you may have taken during the course of discovery, and then some of the errors or some of the runtime issues that you may have faced. So that accounts for the 30%. So what we end up doing is we actively maintain, and sometimes we have different versions of the same skill that we use depending on the nature of the projects here. So one thing to note is even though we use Claude Opus and Claude Code for this for this project, and I think we are doing it in this demo as well. Uh, but this is it's an agent and model agnostic method that we are presenting here. So doesn't matter what model or what agent you're using. I think the same framework will still apply uh, when you're doing when you're undertaking an effort like this.
So
Uh,
Rajesh,
mhm.
yeah, how long it took for you to come up with the skills, matured skills, where it is started producing the right results?
Okay, so that's a difficult question to address. It depends on the complexity of the project, but in this specific project, it took us around 2 months of time, right, to understand. So after discovery, we did consume that information. We did feed that into our skills, but it's an evolving process as well. So the base skill, I think we already had it, but to come up with the first reliable right skill that we can use in an active code base like this, it took us around 2 months to get there. But even after then, we had to continuously evolve that, and we're still doing it as we're seeing more errors or more issues or more migration related performance related issues like that. So we are continuously evolving it. But yeah, it took us around 2 months to get there for this particular project.
Got it.
I think we have a demo that I think Janvi is going to present, but I'll just give you a recap of what we'll be showing. So what you see is, what you will be seeing is we will have 11 different phases that we are going to cover in the demo. But those 11 can be broadly classified into four different groups. So first is your assess and convert, which is basically you are assessing it for the initial migration readiness. Then you have module specific dependency management, right? What things you need to do, and right, and how do you manage those dependencies stuff. And then comes right for .NET specific, we use the multi-targeting, and then we had some build level changes and unit testing. And at the very end, you take care of the packaging and right some more testing that goes around right particular builds. So that's what right we will have in the demo.
Got it.
But before I right mention or before we go to Janvi, right, before I hand it over to Janvi, I'd like to touch upon the multi-targeting approach that we covered. Uh,
I was about to ask you that for the non-technical people,
right.
what does it mean, multi-targeting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
please.
some of the developers, like C# developers or .NET developers, they may be acquainted with the term, right, multi-targeted approach. But this is particularly, it has become much more prevalent in recent times. So earlier we used to migrate to a .NET standard, and then we would again, right. So that's the intermediate stage that you will have, and then from there you'll start and right you'll again migrate it to .NET, and so you have different stages that you will cover there. With multi-targeting, essentially, it still has an intermediate phase, but the build never stops to work. So what happens is you would have, let's say you have a net 48 application, and you want to target to net 10, right? That's what I think we are doing in this project. So what it allows you to do is you write highly optimized code targeting both the runtimes. So let's say your modern C# features or write like records or annotations that will not be supported in net 48. So what you're doing is you're creating blocks of code that would work with net 10 while still preserving the old code there. Now, one of the
Mhm.
challenges that you may face there is you may have different dependencies that may work with one version of the framework over the other. So that's where this multi-targeting will make sure that when you're packaging the code or when you're building the code, the right dependencies are targeted towards the right runtime there. So yeah, I think that's what multi-targeted approach is, and as I mentioned, compared to the previous the old or the oldest practice was to go to net standard. So that's not that's not that uh, right. It's very time consuming in my experience. So that's where I think this works out. So now I'll ask Janvi to quickly share her experience and show you some of the code and some of the migration work that we did. So over to you, Janvi.
Yeah, thank you, Happy. So before I get into what we actually did, I would like to bring this up that what actually AI gets wrong. So basically, whatever code that AI has generated, it shows the vulnerability of around 10 to 40%. And the dangerous thing is not that. The dangerous thing is it shows green on the build. So what happens is your tests pass, your build goes green, it compiles in a right way. But when it goes to the production, we see runtime issues. So that is where we step in. Okay, that is how we are governing the whole process. So for governance, what we are doing is we have one audit skill as well with our main skill. So that will identify, I'll show you also in the demo, but that will exactly identify what things our primary skill might have missed, if there are any stub implementations or not. I'll go into the details in the code, but this is how I wanted to bring this up before I start the demo. So yeah, this is what AI gets wrong. Now I'll show the code, but before that, we would like to like present the catalog. Like when we ran the initial skill, what exactly was the scan result? So I'll just share my screen and show that.
Please.
Okay. I think my screen should be visible. So RP, would you please walk us all through the catalog
Sure.
that
Yeah.
covered?
So this is the initial code scan result, right? And there are different uh, worksheets that you see across this entire workbook. So first, what we do is a TAMAF analysis. So TAMAF is our proprietary AI native modernization technology based on combination of three other frameworks. So we have TOCAF, we have MSCF, and Gartner 7R methodology here. And what we are doing is there are different five stages to it. One is you're assessing it, then you're classifying it, sequencing and accelerating, and then you're writing a right ways to govern it. So what this does is it converts this project into into a governed and a sprint level delivery that can be managed in a project. Now, the next thing that we do is a NuGet dependency catalog, which is for this case, like for the project that uh, we have uh, packages that had to be converted to NuGet. So every package, right, even after conversion, we are assessing it for your readiness. Like, is it going to work with Net 10 or not, right? The target framework. And it helps us in deciding if we have to remove it or update or consolidate it. At certain times, we have to replace it with a newer, right, better package that may work on the newer environment, like it will perform better. So those kind of decisions are also taken in this one. And of course, we are doing a project inventory as well. What projects are there? So we had a lot many projects here to migrate here. So uh, doing right, keeping a tab of right, what is the target and what are the challenges in each one, any particular right things that should be handled first. So that kind of a list helps here. So next one is your disposition matrix, which is coming up with if certain thing has to be rehosted, refactored, right? You have to retain that or retire, so there are different 7 Rs that uh, uh, we evaluate here. And what we found in this particular code base is enough to migrate it and not entirely rewrite this thing. So that's the score that you see on your screen. And next is a tool spectrum, which kind of tells us like what are the tools that will be used right while going through this entire journey of migration. So you could have your for this particular project, we could use the AWS transform. We could use right for certain projects we use transform. For certain projects we use Cloud Code. So it's a mix of different things. So the important thing is the orchestration is the key. So that's what we do. And the next thing is, right, I think I'll just rush through the next one. So we have a rich register, we have a repository inventory. And then in this project, we had certain C++ projects as well. So those were some native CLI based projects that did variety of things. So yeah, so if you see what we're doing is it's an end-to-end analysis of uh, everything that we see in front of us. We are trying to make sure that we are gathering as much data as possible so that we are taking those informed decisions and we are letting our clients also know right what lies ahead in front of us. So everyone is informed and it's a planned execution from there on.
So on behalf of the
Mhm.
listeners, I would like to ask a question, RP
Sure.
here. Otherwise, you are part of the many other conventional modernizations, right?
Correct.
How much time it could have taken, right, if you do it manually, right? Now, what's the process you took it using the AI tools? How much
Okay.
time it took to produce this one?
So the initial ramp up, right? I think it's still the same because you're still collecting all sorts of information that you would normally do. So there's no change in that. What actually is accelerated is, and even in case of your discovery, right, there are certain aspects of it that could be ramped up faster because some of the uh, nuanced code, definitely you have to pay attention, right? It's a manual review that you do, but some of the pieces could be right driven by AI in terms of discovery as well.
Mhm.
But the knowledge that you're gathering, I think that still has to be right. It has to be consumed by a human. Made sure that the decisions are taken right with everyone right is on board with that with those decisions as well. So that's the discovery part. That's
Mhm.
definitely we see an increase of say we are doing the same thing in 60% of the time that we used to do.
Mhm.
But the main benefit that we see is on the execution side.
Mhm.
So there we are seeing an acceleration of let's say 3x to
Mhm.
4x, right? That's what we are seeing. Because once you have collected all this information, and if you have different projects that you're doing, which are doing the same thing, so you don't have to do it
Mhm.
manually. What you're doing is you're basically reusing the same information that you have collected so far, and you're just doing it in cycles. And maybe, right, in a couple of projects, you'll have newer challenges, newer things to worry about,
Right.
but you can still, right, manage that and you can come up with right with a better results on that. And what we have seen is the output, right? It's pretty consistent. And as Janvi was mentioning, right, we have an audit skill that does the whatever work that right your agent is doing. We
Mhm.
are making sure that the same agent or another agent in another session is able to verify those that work. So yeah, when humans are doing it, there's always a right. There's some margin of error. We are seeing that less in case of right AI driven migrations.
Right. But specific to this one that we
Mhm.
are talking about, how much time it took um, to produce this full scan analysis and the assessment report?
So full scan analysis, I think initially it ran for around 10 to 12 hours when we
Mhm.
did it. So it's not like we did it in right, we expected it to right run very quickly. We knew it's a number of right the vast number of
Right.
projects and the different kinds of technologies right that is present. Yeah, I think that's a good number to start. So depending on the complexity, it can range from let's say a couple of hours to right a day or something like that. Yeah,
Super. Yeah, I have more questions on that on the AWS Transform.NET. Why not? And I'll reserve those questions. We wanted to have Janavi show and tell, then we'll go back to those questions.
sure.
Okay,
Sure. I
Janavi,
share.
back to you.
Yep. Okay. So the first thing on the screen that you might be seeing is the before code, which is the migration demo that we have prepared. So basically, this demo, in this demo, I have added things like WPF on the UI side. It has a packet, which is like a package manager, but it's very traditional. It doesn't have any central package managing system right now in this code. We also have EF6, which is not available in modern.NET. And we have .NET remoting, which is again not available in modern.NET. So purposefully, we have kept these things into the demo so that we can show how it worked and how it handled these parts. So the next project that I am going to open right now is the captured version after we ran this migration skill. This is a multi-targeted version that you are seeing, and I would like to start with the discovery. So as RP mentioned, we generally run a scan, and we did run a scan on this as well. And this is the migration discovery report that it has created. And if you see, it clearly mentions things like packet, EF6. And these decisions are taken by humans. Like it will ask the engineers, it will give the recommended approach, but it will have human in loop involved where the scanning happens. And then the skill execution starts once it has all the necessary information it needs. Then coming to our main skill, which is .NET migration skill, it has this main skill.md file, which is like an orchestrator, and it will orchestrate the remaining phases, or it has one phase guide which will tell uh, which phases to implement in which order. Talking about that, the first most initial stage, which is very important, is discovery. In the discovery, what it will do is it will take the solution in hand and scan each and every project that is the part of the solution, and it will come up with something like this, which will say that what are the projects, like the project name, which language it has, is it WPF or not? Uh, in any case, if it is, it will show true there. Is it already converted to SDK style or not? And what's the status? So by maintaining the status, multiple developers can work on this together, and it would not be like only my like if I'm away, my colleague or anybody on the team can pick it up from here. So this is migration.config file, and it is basically showing the status of each and every project in the solution. Now, moving ahead, we have many phases, like it will convert the project to SDK, then it will convert packet to NuGet, it will do central package management, which is CPM, and finally, it will do the TFM upgrade. When I say TFM upgrade, right now the state is multi-targeted. So here also it is mentioned, but I can show you in the CS proj file, which would be something like this. So what multi-targeted means is already explained by RP earlier, but just for the information, it will create two DLLs in this case. Like one would be net 48 DLL and one would be net 10 DLL. Now, there can be questions like I talked about EF6, right? So it's not available in modern.NET. So how does the code handles it, and how our skill has made it handle? So if I talk about some particular things here on EF6 and EF code, so this is how it handles. Like if the framework is net 48, this part of the code will be executed and compiled, and otherwise this part. So otherwise EF core would be there. So this is called preprocessive directives. I'm sure technical people who have joined the webinar would have an idea on this. And so this is the approach that we have given into the skill to be followed for the multi-target purpose. Now, as I also talked about, like this is all about the skill. And yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention was learnings. So whatever mistake the skill makes, and whatever we have identified while working on it, or when the issues came, we have fed it back to the skill in form of learning. So the aim is the skill should not be making the same mistake twice. So this is how we version it, or we evolve the skill continuously. And so at the end, it would be like at its best version. Now, this is about .NET migration skill. Uh, After the skill is ran, we will run this audit skill, which I mentioned earlier. And this skill will act like a critic. It will see if there is no stub implementation, uh, if there's no runtime issue that we have already identified is again occurring, or are there any pieces which has that. Sometimes what happens is SDK conversion might have been skipped by the skill, but at this phase, everything is catched. So I can also show you the report which it has generated for this one after I have migrated, which says that, okay, yeah, it's an overall pass. So this is about the .NET audit skill. And once we are confident on the net 10 version of the build, which it has multi-targeted, we strip off the net 48 fully, and it will look something like this. I have already ran that skill, and now it only has the net 10 version and it builds clean on the net 10. So this is how we have orchestrated the entire process on the actual client project. This is just a demo, which we have presented here, which is similar in terms of complexity. So yeah, I think now this is all on the demo, and maybe RP can walk us through the gotchas and everything that we had. Over to you, RP.
Yeah. Question RP there,
Sure.
right? The skills that we put together for this particular .NET migration, how much of that we could able to reuse from the base skills, and can you explain us the journey of it? When we are taking foundational skills, what's the journey to get to use it for this specific platform?
Sure. So, I think the first thing that we did, right, I think it was back in last year, right, mid last year. What we did was we created a base skill because we were getting a lot of migration projects, right, requirements where people had .NET, people had Java related projects that need to be migrated. Also some legacy tech stack as well. So what we did is we created right different variations of base skills that we see, which is in the demo that Janvi was showing. The For example, your TFM upgrade and your NuGet, right? Your upgrade. So those are some of the very core requirements that we see. So what we did is we created a base skill out of right those requirements, and post that, whenever we get a project, right, a new requirement, and we understand what complexity is present, what are the different modules that need to be migrated. So what we end up doing is we pick those pieces, right? I mean, we take those pieces and we try to fit them into the existing different phases that we have. So let's say initially we will have, let's say, 7 phases. Now, depending on the kind of project and right, the platform that we are working on, we'll add some 3-4 extra steps so that the migration is complete and end to end. And right, that's how that will be done. And that process, it's not something that is unique or specific to .NET. You can apply the same thing for any legacy application that you're planning to migrate. Key thing is you do the discovery, you come to
Mhm.
right execution. Now, your using a skill is one of the ways, right, to migrate, depending on right what your next requirement is, or at times you need to rewrite the project. Maybe the current tech stack is not working out for you. You have a legacy tech stack. You don't need a version upgrade, rather you want a complete rewrite and into
Mhm.
a right in a new language, in a new framework. So that's a different right ball game there. So what you do is you collect the requirements, you do the discovery, and then you kind of do a spec driven development or something specific in that. Yeah.
I have a question from the
Hmm.
audience here.
Sure.
Let me read that out. How can the business be assured that all functionality has been migrated exactly as is?
Okay.
Can you
Yeah.
speak from this particular migration perspective? How did you guys make sure that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good question. So one of the things that we always do is, as we are migrating, we do coverage analysis as well. We understand, right, how like are unit tests effective or not, right, in order to gauge that. Now, mostly, right, in legacy applications or right things which right have, for example, this one, right, this one has spanned across 2 decades of coding. So definitely coverage is less. So what we do is we We add critical right unit test cases that we identify along the way. We see that like wherever we see value, we add that in the net 48 side of things. And generally, when right after you're done, uh, those test cases should still pass. That's the understanding. And then you have different things that you could do is, and I'm talking in a broader sense now. You can do differential testing as well. Another thing that I think is more popular in web apps is you release it to a small subset of people, right? The new app, and while your majority of your audience or right your users will still be using the old right stack, so you do some parallel builds and you release them. So that way you do get a real feedback from people. So that's from the audience users point of view. But the testing still has to be done. Your QA still has to be on top of the game. They still need to test. They still need to validate. I think all the AI driven is right stuff is still is going to just help you out. It's going to augment that whole testing, but that end thing still has to be tested and verified. The critical features at least.
Got it. I know in this case, this platform has already existing regression test suite, even though that's not
Yeah.
covering the entirety of it, then we ended up having the QA team beef up that regression so that the migration
Yeah.
can go smoothly. Without that, I think it would be difficult. So we definitely need to have a regression suite to be in place so that when you are migrating it, would be 100% success before and confidence we put it into the production there. Now, second part of the same question here, does your framework also show what is my current tech stack, and while I am migrating, does it suggest best practices and best tech stack? So using the AI framework skills, right? As part of the framework, would the skill suggest that, or would we be suggesting? Can you talk about it?
You could do that, but there's always a risk of if you're not defining your tech stack up in advance, your developers may not be ready for it. So you may give it a couple of options depending on what right your developers are acquainted with, what they know. So you could do that, but I think it's always better to be in control, understand, right, send that requirement. So the and in this particular case, it was not a rewrite. It's not a framework, right? That you're rewriting here. What you're essentially doing is just making sure that uh, all the best practices are followed. I think I'll cover that part separately. But what you're doing is you're upgrading it to a level where your right your outgoing version maybe it's approaching your it's like end of life support and all. So you're making sure your I mean your packages, your versions are your frameworks are up to date there. Now, best practices is pretty subjective. Now, each team has a different right plan. So what we do is we do suggest that, as in whenever we do get a project like this, we try to bring in our flavor as well. But we also try to understand what was done, what was followed, right up until now, and we build on top of that. So it's not a right a new thing or right it's a new entirely new practice for the client's team as well.
Correct. It goes with the internal ecosystem and the architectural and the technology choices that
Yeah.
organization wants to pursue. Otherwise, same thing can be achieved through many. But the any technology stack that we select, right, the best practices would be acquired and applied for that. And there is a strong opinionated way of getting the things done so that right where we are confident about what we are doing it. So with that, I think back to you, RP. We have few slides to cover before we.
Yeah, I think some of these are some of the issues that we did. I mean, we faced while executing this particular project. Now, these are, I mean, this is not something that everyone will get, right? This is very specific to this project. But the idea is you test them out. You have your unit test cases in place. You have your differential test cases in place. So you're able to catch these and right, you're able to address this before you ship the product out. Uh, Yeah. So if I have to recap, right, what we did in this session, uh, so we are right. We make sure that you prepare a good constitution file, and then that constitution file should be available across the team so that right, whatever coding agent right people are using or the model they're using, you have some baseline, some framework to right to stick to, and right they can follow that. You keep your skills up to date. You make sure that whatever learnings, whatever uh, new objectives that you're getting as well, right, alongside you're making sure that that gets updated into your current skill. And it's not a one person job, right? It's a team effort. So as we said, right, all of if you follow all this, right, you create a good constitution, you create your skill, you come up, you identify the risks. So if you have all of this, it will all right, it will account to a good team level implementation rather than right relying on one single individual in the end.
Super. I know we use the Claude as an you right choice of the AI tool to explain this. Um, you can use any of the LLMs or AI agents to get this done. Similar manner, constitution and plan and skills is the terminology from the Claude, but same thing. We kind of standardize it into the GPT and the Gemini, and then you right apply those skills repeatedly. So here are the two things. We covered a lot of ground here. I know 45 minutes not good enough to go deeper into it, run the skills in front of you, but we just wanted to get you a feel for it. Some approaches you can go back and think about it for your platforms, how you wanted to modernize. Here are the two ways to take this forward. I know you can run the free scan and assess your code yourself. Reaches out. We have a QR code there. Take a scan of that so that reaches out so that we can share that skills set with you. You can run on your own, or you can have a discovery call and you can take our help where we can help you present that TAMAF report. That is nothing but a great accelerated modernization assessment framework that we put together for the assessment aspect of it. That will give you within no time, right? In the past, manual, it used to take many months or many weeks to get to that report, right? Requires a lot of expertise help. Now we can take the AI tools help to put that together with the subject matter that we are you internal subject matters can help that to articulate it to your internal board or the leadership to give the approval for that. Take a screenshot or scan it. With this, I know we are ran out of time here, a lot of ground to cover. Anything related to methods, phases, or architecture, you can come back to Rajesh, and anything on the code level, Rajesh or Janvi, and any engagement related, you can talk to me. Other questions, I couldn't get to it. Good questions. We will respond back offline for that. With that note, thank you very much for RP and Janavi covering a lot of ground here. We are going to wrap up the conversation here. Otherwise, good luck with your modernization journey, and feel free to reach us out if you need some help. Thank you very much.
Thank you.